All right. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good to see you out there. Paul Tranny diving into Illustrator. Basically day 2. First day was just a little warm up. Good to have you here, Laura. Good evening as well. Shannon, good to have you. Yeah, let's get this party started. It's Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, and I'm your host, Paul Tranny. Feel free to, post what you want in Discord. I'm going to kind of run through exactly what we're doing today and the whole process. All that good stuff. Tim has not finished his icon yet. Tim, how dare you? Just kidding. This is meant to be fun. And I'm going to click over, as you can see right here. If you're on YouTube, join me on behance.net/live. Essentially, you can go to the challenge tab. And this is what we're doing. Day 2. Bam. Text and fonts, right? Yesterday we did shapes and lines. Seemed pretty innocent, but everybody had some great creations. Look at this. Shahid, crazy. It's just crazy. I think this is really fun doing that with hair. And yeah, I got some cool things going on. And really the goal is just to have fun, learn Illustrator, and learn a lot about design, right? Shout out to Austin B, by the way. First time creating in Illustrator. Bam. Hey, he nails it. Fantastic. So that was yesterday. Post to Discord, by the way. But let's go ahead and get started with text and fonts, by the way. So here's our file. I could download that, and I have it already in Illustrator. All right. Yes, and I couldn't agree more. Nice work, everyone. You did such a good job. I'm like thoroughly impressed. So access that file, make your own icon, keep those coming. But day 2 is kind of a continuation of that. Kind of like we're kind of building our own little brand, if you will. We created an icon of ourselves, and now we're going to get into text and fonts, and we're going to create a monogram or a logo, whatever you want to call it. Technically, monograms really using your initials and doing a type lockup, okay? And we can turn that into a logo, right? We're getting into semantics to a certain degree, but I think it's gonna be fun to play with the text tool. So just select a font that you wanna use, and we're gonna manipulate it into place. So what are your initials? Lucia Fermenti, an L and an F. Very cool shapes. Mine's PRT, so I'm using the text tool, typing in PRT, right, just like that. I'm going to select the selection tool. It gives me this little box around it, and I'm just going to drag up like that to make this much larger. Guess what? What I actually did is I changed the properties of it. Off to the side, we can see all the various properties for my font. I essentially cranked this up just by resizing it to about 470 points, 0.76, right? So again, pretty large, kind of boring font. Give me your initials. I love it. MDP, MEM, Melanie Mitchell, perfect. Such a good. That mirroring, you could do some really fun things with that. So a C and a P mirror each other, right? So this is so fun to create this type lockup. So right in here, we can see, I just have this myriad font. If you click right over here, we can change this font. We could see a little preview of all of them, and we could see it change as I roll over it, right? Creating a monogram isn't picking a font, right? That's what it isn't, okay? But it is someplace to start. So you could go in and pick a fun one, right? You could find more if you click this Find More tab, right? We could jump out to, it's initializing right now, but we can find more fonts through Adobe Fonts as well, okay? So there we are. These are fonts that I currently don't have, right? So if I happen to maybe want to use Aberral Face, Fat Face, right? I could just activate that font, and it will sync in the background and be available for me to use. I can go ahead and favorite that Aberral Fat Face font. There it is right there, and that could be potential for a type lockup, okay? What you're gonna end up doing a lot is duplicating this text as well. But let me go back in here. Let me go through some of the sorting as well. ABC, is that really your initials? Austin Browning, that works too. Anita Lima, So it's cool. I'm doing all caps, but you could also use lowercase. So the A is a prime example of how it drastically changes shape from capital to lowercase. Yes, your font. Okay, Cecilia, your font selection box is huge when you pull it up. You probably have it set the size to maybe show a larger sample size. You can show smaller sample sizes. So maybe that's what's going on there, right? But what I want to do is I probably want to sort by classification. I encourage you to actually use, I honestly am just going to use something boring. You're going to think it's boring. It's not. Okay. Anton regular, like this. But I'm rolling through the sans serif fonts currently. Anton regular. Let's take a look at a potential font I want to start with. Yeah, let's just go with something. Okay, I know what I'm looking for. Let's go to this Big Noodle regular. Okay, so pick the font you want. This is just a starting point. I'm going to use just a sans serif, so it doesn't have any little curls off of the ends, right? So that's what I'm going to use. Here's typically what you get. You get these 3 letters, right? You might want to move them around. Easiest way to do that is by using what we call the touch type tool right in here. So we'll get to some of these others, but I'm going to select the touch type tool because maybe I want to manipulate each one of these letters individually. Well, I can move this down, maybe move it over so it connects kind of like that. I could take this T, move it over like that. Okay, maybe kind of break that a little bit. This is actually easier to read, but this is what the touch type tool enables you to do. You know, rotate it any way we want. And guess what? This text is all on the same line. So if I double click or just use my regular type tool, it's all on the same line. So this is actually pretty powerful. And a lot of people don't know about it. So for a day 2 exercise, we're already getting pretty advanced and making something pretty cool, I think, right? Let's kind of rotate that into place. I wish I could just type in that, but okay, so there we go. There we have one type lockup. I could take this and say, hey, you know what? Let's throw a circle around it. We went over basic shapes yesterday. Here's a circle. I'm going to flip these 2 colors. So it's going to have a black stroke and no fill, and change the stroke thickness to about 40 or even 80. Let's jump up here to like 80. What I'm doing now is I want to make sure my monogram or type lockup has some consistency, right? So the thickness here is the same as the thickness of that outer stroke, like that. Okay, so that's all I'm doing at this point. Place that right there. And I'm going to get a lot more wild here in a second as well, but here's one that is done. Right? We can shrink that down, move that over, right? Let's create a second one, right? Here we are. How's everybody doing? Okay, so Shauna, what's up? Yeah, so touch type tool is new. Here's one that actually has been around a while, but is pretty essential. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I have this stroke, and actually I want to crank this up 80 to 100 or something like that. I can make this pretty thick. Even thicker than it needs to be. And check this out, I can make an ellipse, right? Here's just a circle. And what I want to do is I want to put my name and have it kind of wrap around that circle. So with this circle selected, we're going to go over here to our next type tool. By the way, here's the area type tool. You could imagine what that does. Selecting that. Oop. Clicking on that shape, and I'm going to really take this size down like that first. So here we are. Here's my shape, area type tool, clicking on that path, and we're essentially filling it with text. We see right in here. This just creates a nice texture. You know what this does already. This could be any shape. Just make sure it's a compound shape. It's basically a complete shape that doesn't have any breaks in the line. I also want to point out that this is kind of fun. I don't know if anybody noticed right in here. This is all caps currently. Oh, interesting. This is an all caps font, and I hacked Illustrator because this actually gives me a bunch of hipster words. So this is hipster ipsum that I hacked Illustrator on, but that's for an advanced course. So I could do something like that for the inside if I wanted to, right? This could be sort of all about me or something like that, and I could drop that in there. That's okay. We'll kind of move that off to the side because maybe that's not the best idea. What I really want to do is I want to have a circle, and I want to put type on a path. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Selecting type on a path, go over here, clicking on that path. There we have it, our text, and I'll say Paul Ryan Tranny. That is my full name. Let's make it a little bit larger, maybe 36 point. And there we have it. Now, this is on the outside. If I want to bring this on the inside, it's going to be this line. So this is the most important thing that you could that I want to point out here, is this little line. It could be tricky. Like, why can't I get it on the inside of that line? You'll try to click on the inside of the line. No. It's grabbing this little line right here, right, with our selection tool and moving it in. Now it's on the inside of that circle, right? So we go from the outside to the inside. That's how we kind of control this text. Let's put that right up at the top. Let's change the color as well. Let's change the color to white, right? And then put this over the top like something like that. Zoop. As we start to drop it into place, we realize that it actually probably needs to be even larger. So let's crank this up. There we are. Paul Ryan Tranny. I can duplicate this. Let's just change this back to black. Knowing what we know now, we could say something like designer for hire, something like this, right? Boom, there it is. Keep in mind, I want to bring that on the inside now, grabbing that line, like so, bringing it on the inside like that. Now I can take this, change the color to white, and bring it into place like so. Okay, in this case, I'm going to make it a little bit larger, like so. You get the idea. Okay, controlling both of these and kind of balancing it out. So there we have number 2. Let's move on. I got more I want to do. Let's shrink this down, placing it off to the side, right? Taking this again, actually, this is what I want to do. I want to take this text. Chances are you're going to want to manipulate your text even more, okay? Inside to outside, it's going to be the line opposite of where your text is, or it's basically going to be a line that intersects the circle. That's how you control where it goes, inside or outside. So this is what I want to do. Ultimately, to really mess with this text, you're going to have to break it apart, right? So we'll go up to type and create outlines. So I would actually rank this as I would say touch type tool, flipping the lines for the type along the path, and then create outlines. This is probably the most important and most used option right in here. What did that do? Well, it gave me all these paths. It turns this text into paths. It's no longer editable right now from a text standpoint, but it is editable as a shape. So it only recognizes it as a shape. Sure enough, I can move these points around. I could say, hey, let's kind of break that out like that if I want to. Or what I can do is simplify. I'm a huge fan of simplifying, and graphic design is all about, honestly, deducing something down to its basic elements. So here in this case is just I'll just change the color for you, red square. I actually want to use this to subtract from that P. So let's ungroup it. Okay, just kind of making sure this letter is kind of hanging out alone. Selecting these two, going to Pathfinder. We did this yesterday. Let's go ahead and subtract like that. So I'm kind of breaking this down into its basic forms. Okay, I'll do that right over here. Let's check the time. I have 10 minutes. This is great. Selecting those two again, let's subtract like that, and we can start to create a fun little type lockup. Okay, so we can have that like that. Maybe we want to take this and extend this out a little bit because the T is kind of, honestly, kind of boring, and I'm making this type lockup. Okay, I could have fun with this, and I encourage you to do so as well. First off, some of you are going to be bothered by this, just like I am. Sometimes when you start to manipulate the shapes, you're going to end up with some extraneous little points, as you can see right in here. Sure enough, hit the minus on your keyboard. It'll switch to the pen delete anchor point tool. So hit that minus, and then we usually get rid of those little points and kind of smooth that out. Maybe move that up if I want to. Just some little cleanup I do. I can have some fun with this. What shall I do? What shall I do with my life? I don't know. Let's take this one. I'm going to clean this up as well, because again, that's going to bother me. But what if I take this and I actually, let's do something like, let's just try this, because again, we're designing away. I'm going to use the direct selection tool, shorten this up like so. Maybe I want to have another box like so, and I'm going to just see if this works, see if you guys like it. Moving that there, and then moving this like right there. See, we kind of have that overlapping look. So yeah, Jennifer, yeah, the whole uneven edge, you gotta, you know, honestly, you could always hit Command Y, boom. Command Y just gives me the outlines of everything, right? So we'll go to View, it's actually right up here. We can go Command Y, we can change it back to Preview. But that's how you can see if there's any weird paths hanging out or whatever. So this is one version that I can go with. I'll typically take this, I'll duplicate it by holding down the Option key and Shift key and dragging it over, and I'll try like a different version as well. I kind of already know what I'm about to do. Might not suit me, but hey, you're here, why not? I got a couple minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in on this fine Wednesday. Big thank you to the one and only Jason Levine, who was just doing some video magic, creating a trailer, which was cool. So here I'm deducing this T to its basic element as well. It could be like this. It could just be this one side. Or do I take it and do I go to the reflect tool right over here? It's hidden behind the rotate tool. So rotate, reflect, double clicking on it. This is typically how I'll flip it. Vertically, something like that. And do we kind of do something like that? I don't know. Yeah, it's a start. It's maybe a finish. It's a maybe not done situation. I don't know. I'm just having some fun designing. So yeah, I encourage you to do this. Play with your initials, right? Create interesting type lockups. You might have to create outlines as well, and just start to create some fun type lockups. What if I extended this out and down, and maybe this one here goes like that? And again, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but this is just the process you go through. You try things, see what works, and go from there. So Tahim, thanks for joining me. Anna as well. Fantastic. So there we are. There we have it. We have this one. We have this one. You could see my other options. These were just examples, just to kind of get the juices flowing, if you will. You can also easily do a search for monograms on Behance. Not now. Do it later. But again, define simple. Yeah. It's honestly simple, and honestly simplicity and design go hand to hand. It's honestly when there's nothing else you can add, it's when there's nothing else that you can take away. So remove all those extraneous elements and get it to a point where it's like, you know what, everything here is so good, I can't take anything away to make it better. Right? So that's what you want to do. But that's how you work as a designer. You start really you start with sort of a template, that being a font. You'll get more elaborate, and then you'll start removing from it to get what you want. This version, thinking about this, selecting all three of these in particular. What if I do in this case? Think about the reverse of things. Here's white, a white version. Select this guy. And let's put that version in a circle, right? So now we have another monogram lockup that may or may not work, right? Just another idea to work with. Should you use specific tags on your Behance when you do the projects? Use, I think just hashtag daily creative challenge. I could be wrong. Adobe Live, Voodoo Val, what's the, tell me what there's like a specific, right? But have an idea in mind, by the way, because my whole thing is like simplicity, at least when it comes to creating these monograms, but like, tell me something like a little bit about yourself. Like, you did make this icon yesterday. Do I somehow integrate this into my monogram? Again, just an idea, right? Do we take it a step further? Do you even start to even go with your whole name, right? Like what I have here. Boom, let's do this. Here's P. Let's take this, let's rotate it. Wait for it, folks. I'm trying to go as fast as I can and trying to inspire you today. Let's do something like that. Let's bring this in. Oh, wait, wrong one. Direct selection tool, dragging a box around those points. There's the A. Let's grab this right here. Sometimes you'll need to use this lasso tool. The lasso tool allows you to really specifically grab those particular Bezier points like I'm doing now. So there we have that. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it, people. Bam. Rotate it. Take this. Moving this over. Flipping it. Like so. Maybe moving this. Flipping this again. I'm sorry. I gotta reflect it again. I don't need it to be that way. I am thinking all sorts of ways. All right, there we have it. You know, it's not quite perfect, but I'm kind of spelling out my name. What I just made here is what's called an ambigram. So it's supposed to spell, let's just do this. Let me fix this right here. Let's extend this 2, 3, 4. Selecting this. Something like that. It spells Paul, upside down, and then right side up as well. So again, just something fun that you can do as you think about it. It's kind of what I made here. I actually threw some color on it. You could see this version. And then here it is like rotating around. Again, just being fancy with my name with this type like lockup. Cool. Greg, you have an awesome ambigram name. Greg, you have 2 G's. You have G's on either end. Like, you could do it. I think I remember discovering an Ambigram app a long time ago where you like, I don't know if you like typed in your name and it turned it into an ambigram, but just kind of do some research. This is always kind of fun and fancy and all the things. But I'm going to get out of this. We'll get back right over here. You get the idea. If you feel the need to add colors, feel free to do so if you want to, whatever that may be. But here already we have lots of different versions. When it comes to exporting these, honestly, this is all I would do. If I like this version, I do screenshots, right? So just do Shift Command 4 if you're on a Mac. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is for the PC, but just go ahead and do a screenshot of just this one area, right? Shift Command 4, draw a box, boom, create that screenshot, which happens to be right here, and then go ahead and upload to Discord right in here. It is the current challenge, so that's where I would drop this in like so. Monogram from today. Thanks for watching. Would love to see what you come up with and all that good stuff. Yeah, if you want to FPS, yes it is. That Paco has the best initials. Greg has a great name. Voodoo Val with those V's and it's just awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're seeing. Your whole goal here, by the way, yeah, you can make a type lockup, but make sure it's legible. You know, to some degree, like we still want to get that this is a P and an R and a T. And honestly, I didn't even need to use my middle name. I could have done something different. But that's what I got for you. Feel free to get more elaborate like I did right in here. Or even like this one that's kind of more cubist It's kind of fun. But you get the idea. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to be in Discord. I went live on Discord this morning as well, so I'll try to go live on Discord and just kind of give some feedback. But I think this is really fun to do. I hopefully make a cool monogram as we start to build our own brand, more or less. But the great thing is you could stay tuned with us, because if I'm taking a look at this correctly, we actually have Julia up next, and she's going to be designing a vitamin brand. So more branding right after this, which is fantastic, Julia. She's here in Denver, Colorado as well, down south. But that's what I have for you. Thanks so much for hanging out, you beautiful people, you. Let's stay in touch. Follow me on Instagram, because I'm almost at 10,000 people. So, shameless plug. Maybe I'm there right now, but let's take a look. Oh yeah, so I'm at 10K, but thank you everybody for following me on Instagram. That's where I'm going to be posting my designs and all that good stuff. So thanks for watching. Take care. Appreciate you. Stick around for Julia, and thanks so much for hanging out with me. We'll see everybody really soon. I'll see you tomorrow, but hang out here. Thank you.
The story of conservation is the story of waste and how it can be prevented. From a puff of smoke, throughout our land, the once beautiful forests, such as this, have become scenes of desolation. The timber is gone, and so is the wild game which once was sheltered beneath its shade. Poisonous waste is poured into our rivers, killing the fish and menacing the health of all of us. Rivers have been so polluted by the refuse from our towns and factories that they are often a menace to health.